Right. Hello, everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Santino with Eternal Midnight, and I'm here with Chad. How?
What's up, guys?
Yeah, what's up, everyone? Today we're doing a special midweek episode on a specific topic called childhood trauma, and I mean that in the sense of what movies or TV scenes scared you when you were a kid? Because I'm sure you have a lot, and when this
Oh, definitely.
once this video is done, can you comment down below, like to all the viewers out there? Comment down below on what scared you as a kid, because this is a really interesting topic that
It's
I'm
fun
sure.
because it's like everybody has had that movie that scared them as a kid. Some of
Yeah,
us even have multiple ones that freaked us out.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's so in this special episode, let's go around like, Chad, how many movies do you have, or movie
How
scenes?
many how many movies do I own?
No, how many movies do you
Oh,
have?
freaked me out as a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, probably two or three. I might remember another one or two when we're talking about stuff.
All right, so let's even this out. Like I'll go first, and then you go next. So
Mm-hmm.
so we can have a dynamic. So okay, so my first movie, I'll get my list. My first movie that scared me as a kid was actually from Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And that scene that scared me was at the very end where Quirrell removes his turban
Oh
and
yeah.
the back of his head grows into Lord Voldemort's face. Man, when I was younger, that gave me nightmares. Like
Oh, I believe it.
every time there was a bald person, I would be afraid that there was a head growing back at the guy's face. Because man, it was scary. Holy shit! Like, dude, that is like something out of your nightmares. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the back where you find out there's another person at the back of the head. I mean, like, and to me, when I was younger, I remember watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone like when I was two on
Mm-hmm.
HBO. Oh man, dude, that was one where I really felt like chills around my entire body, and I had nightmares. Like I had a specific nightmare I remember where I was eating, and then my mom suddenly went bald, and at the back of her head to the mirror, I could see Lord Voldemort's face. I was like, oh my god, I started freaking out, man. Yeah, that's the one where I was like, yeah, it gave me nightmares. I mean, to the point where I actually, every time Philosopher's Stone would come on, I would change it to another channel when that part of Voldemort showing up would happen. Yeah,
And I forget, how old were you? You said.
I was like five, dude.
Okay. So here's my first one. I was 3 when this happened.
Okay.
And I don't know why I remember it. I probably shouldn't. But so me being older than you, um when I was younger, we went to the video store and my parents saw a movie in the kids section. Mind you, this is the kids section. The cover looked like a kids movie. Cool. First half of the movie, kids, pretty decent kids movie. Then you hit the second half and it all changed. Well, I didn't even get to the second half because I freaked out at the midway point. My parents rented the first Gremlins when I was 3.
Oh my god.
Now, you've seen it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The part that is what I just screamed and ran out of the room was when they showed the very first gremlin. The mom was walking up to the kitchen and he was like eating the gingerbread cookie or whatever. As soon
Oh,
as I saw him, I literally screamed and ran out of the room. And my parents shut the movie off and they're like, that's it. That's it. We're returning this. They were like, why was this in the kids section? And it's like, in retrospect, now I almost want to. I mean, I think that movie, I don't remember what it was rated, if it was PG or if PG-13 had come out yet.
yeah.
But it just made me laugh because it was like that was during that transitionary period where it was like there has to be stuff for kids, and there has to be stuff for like older kids. And that definitely was not for a 3-year-old. So it's like, yep. But it was like, it terrified me. I didn't sleep that night. But I also did overcome my fears the next day, and I did watch the rest of the movie during the daytime.
Oh wow, really?
But it was just that's something I will remember for my whole life is being there watching the movie, liking it, and then getting to that point, just being terrified and watching my parents be like, "That's it, the movie's done, we're turning it off.
Uh,
The monsters are gone."
that is scary.
It was. And then this isn't me, but this is just kind of a continuation almost, which is almost ironic. So my brother's about 5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
And eventually, like I said, I watched it when I was 3, got a bit older, watched it a few more times. I found a tape at a garage sale. I watched it a few times, and I really liked it. My mom was always like, "You can't let your brother watch this. He's too young."
Right.
So one time I'm at another store and I saw the second one was out. So I bought the second one on VHS and we all watched it one night. And obviously for anyone who's seen both of them, they know the second one definitely isn't as scary as the first one is.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, everything should be fine. My brother was like 5. Now he and I shared a bedroom at the time. We had a bunk bed. I had the top, he had the bottom bunk.
Yeah.
And I woke up that night when we watched it. And I just heard him like sobbing uncontrollably. And I went out in the living room and he's just like crying in my mom's arms. I'm like, what's wrong with him? And she's like, the movie gave him nightmares. So, needless to say, the next day, the VHS was gone and I never saw it again.
Okay.
So they took away my property that I bought and got rid of it because it scared my brother.
Oh, wow.
But thankfully, I have both of them on DVD now. So what else do you got? What else scared you?
Okay, my second one. So I look at my list and I have 5. So my second one was when I was about 6 years old. So a year after the Philosopher's Stone incident. So the second one was where my friend Marco. Okay, he was die-hard comic book fan before I was, right? So at that time he was interested in 2 heroes, Batman and Spider-Man. So I watched the Spider-Man trilogy when the Raimi trilogy in his house. But what really was interesting to me was I liked at the time the Batman animated series more. The original one with Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. Not the new adventures, the original, like the 1990 something, right?
Yeah.
June, right? So, I was interested because I was like, wow, like new episodes every day, like, oh. And then, but I never saw an episode with the Joker until the one where he used the laughing fish.
Okay.
Yeah. So, man, when that happened, and I saw the fish smile.
Oh, jeez.
That freaked me out, man. That freaked me out. That's like, oh my god, what is this? Dude, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, holy shit, man.
Wow.
When Joker was selling the fish that had like his face on it, I was like, man, that's scary. Like, and then when he used the laughing gas to make people like laugh and then die, I was like, oh my, I couldn't watch. Like, I had nightmares of that. I wouldn't eat fish for a week because of the episode. Like, I was afraid I would get poisoned and start laughing to death.
It truly is funny how like so much like it's funny how much so much of this we look back at when now that we're older and we like laugh at, but it's like you almost gotta look at some of it and be like that was truly terrifying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and now that I've thought more about it, like some of mine are even when I'm older than being like a kid that freaked me out. Because it's just like there are some things that are still scary and stick with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so my next one is we had a place up north when I was younger on a lake, and you'd swim in the lake and whatnot. And, I mean, it's a lake. I live in Michigan, so we're not connected to the ocean. It's not a salt water. There's no sharks. It's not that deep. But so most people probably, oh, like the first Jaws or something. The funny thing is, the first Jaws never scared me at all.
Okay.
Like I watched the first Jaws all the time when I was a kid, and it never freaked me out.
Okay.
For some reason, the second one terrified me.
Why did the second one terrify you?
Remember that scene? Remember that clip I sent you
Yeah, yeah.
a few
The
weeks
one.
ago?
That's the one.
That you got to admit that clip is terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I'll try and put the clip in, but it's the scene when Marge is trying to climb out of the water onto the boat and she can't get out, and that's when you just see the shark coming up from underneath and just drag her under screaming.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
just it terrified me, and it's like I always have to rationalize my fears where it's like like I'm on a lake. There's no sharks in this lake. I'm standing on the beach where it only goes up to like my knees. No shark that size can eat me, but
Yeah,
it's still freaky. You know what I mean?
yeah. I understand that.
And it's like honestly, I do think that's the reason why I don't care. I'll admit it. I'm genuinely terrified of the ocean. I really am. I'm scared to go in the ocean at all. You don't know what's in there. There's so many sharks and monster fish, and no thanks.
Yeah,
I'll live on land, thank you.
yeah. I understand that. Yeah, I can understand why you'd be scared of that scene where you sent me where Marge is trying to get out because it really is
Mhm.
scary.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I mean, imagine the fear in that scene that she was going through.
Yeah,
Like if that was real. I mean, obviously it's not real, but imagine if that was you. You're trying to get out and just suddenly bam, the shark clamps onto you and drags you under the ocean.
yeah. I would be freaking out, man.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my third one is okay. This is a classic, okay, but and you might think of me like, oh wow, you're like people in the audience. I think I'm so unoriginal, but I'm sorry, this really scared me as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park.
Nope. Yeah, that was one on my list too. Yup,
Really,
that one freaked me out. What scene did you get to when you got too scared to watch?
okay, the scene. No, okay, the scene that scared me so much. Okay, this is what really scared me because my mom watched Jurassic Park when she was young on her like high school years on a date.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in my province, like it was Christmas time, right? And Cartoon Network for some reason decided that to celebrate, Christmas, we're gonna show a lot of famous movies. And so you had Back to the Future, you had the first Transformers, and then you
Mm-hmm.
have Jurassic Park, right? So I come home from dinner, my brother and my dad are out, my lolo and my grandfather and my grandmother are out. So I'm here alone with my mom, and we watch Jurassic Park, and I have no idea what this movie is about. Okay, I'm just gonna watch it. I know it's about
Mm-hmm.
dinosaurs, but I don't know exactly what it's about, right? So the scene that really scared the hell out of me was that scene where you hear the T-Rex for the first time go boom, boom.
Oh,
You know,
nice. When he started breaking down the fence.
no, like the scene before that where you
Oh,
like
you didn't even get to him breaking down the fence?
where it focuses on the water.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like you hear like it's shaking, and then the girl says, "Where's the goat?" And
Oh, the goat leg.
yeah,
Oh
yeah. I
my
was like,
God.
oh my god. And
No,
then,
I believe it.
yeah, yeah. I was like, I hid under the covers, and then when I look up, the T-Rex is out, and he just roars and eats the lawyer. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And then just to add to that, like I was still kind of like I was already shaking, but what scared the hell out of me was the scene after that where the fat guy Dennis.
Yup, Dennis Nedry. That was my scene when the first time I watched the movie, that's when I stopped watching it. As soon as the Dilophosaurus, when it spit in his face and it let its frills out, when he was outside of the car, I was kind of like, okay, good. The monster dinosaur is gone. I turned it off when he got into the car and it was in there and it started attacking him. That's when I turned it off. I'm like, nope, I'm done. It scared me so bad. And then it's okay. So like I a while later I tried watching it again and I fast forwarded through that scene because I'm like, I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
I got up to the part where the raptors were stalking the kids in the kitchen and I turned it
Oh.
off then too.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I mean, I'm a kid and I'm like, the kids are gonna die. No.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, I don't want the kids to get killed.
Yeah, dude.
Oh
That's
my,
that scared me. It scared me to hell. Like, oh my god.
it did. That's why movies back then were so much better in my opinion because it's like they knew how to scare us, but they didn't traumatize us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I've truly found that a lot of movies that wind up scaring people, at least, well, I don't know. I've seen some people it's affected them like through their life. But
Yeah.
like for me, I've seen a lot of the movies that have really freaked me out. They've come to be some of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, I know. I understand that. I mean, like, Jurassic Park's one of my favorite movies ever, and it
I
scared
love
the
Jurassic. I can watch Jurassic. The only uh I'd say mistake I've ever made with Jurassic Park was not seeing it when it got re-released in 3D a couple years ago. I'm so pissed off I didn't do that.
Yeah,
Because
really.
I wish I could have seen Jurassic Park up on the big screen. That would have been awesome. And it's like you look at it, it's like you almost look at the rest of the sequels, and it's like none of them have anything on the first movie now.
Yeah, they don't. They really don't. Because it's
So
like,
what else do you got?
okay, these next two are gonna be kind of weird, but
Yeah.
these scenes really scared me when I was a kid. Number four would be, and this is I'm not bullshitting. The the Disney movie Hercules.
Hercules?
Yeah.
How
And I'll tell,
old?
huh?
How old were you?
Okay. This was like, okay. This is way back then. Like, I was 4.
Okay, well, here's how I look at it. If you get scared by a movie, like any movie under the age of 5, I will give anyone a pass because it's like you're still a very little child.
Yeah, but I was 4 when I watched it, and then, okay, so I I have said in the previous podcast, before was into superheroes and all that, I was really into magic, Harry Potter, you know, uh,
Hmm.
the wizards and witches, but I was also actually really into Greek mythology, like
Okay.
Zeus, Hades, Poseidon, and all that, which is why I was a big Percy Jackson fan and a Harry Potter fan when I was young, right? So,
Hmm.
okay, I'll tell you the scene that scared me as a kid. I was 4. It's the scene where Meg dies, where the fates cut her string.
That completely makes sense. Where you thought he was about to go to hell himself.
Yeah. That is a scene where she got. Man, it was so scary to watch, like, her die.
Yeah,
And
because I mean, yeah, we had a few deaths here and there, but I mean, she was a main character who'd made it through the entire movie, and she wasn't the villain, and she died.
yeah,
We saw her get
no,
killed
but it's
by
the
the three witches.
but it's the way she dies. Like, when they cut her line, I was like, oh my god, that is scary. Like, yeah, that scared me as a kid.
I don't blame you. I mean, when it comes to Disney movies, I think I remember my mom telling me about this when she was younger. She watched the original Snow White, obviously not in theaters. She's not that old. But she watched the original Snow White at some point when she was younger, when she was a really little kid, and she said the witch terrified her.
The Queen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the queen, but when she became the old peasant woman.
Oh yeah.
I mean, just think about it back then. There wasn't a lot of because remember when my mom was a kid, that's back before VHS. So it was like you only really got to see a movie like that either when it was re-released in theaters or maybe when you get lucky and it was on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was like you got to see it maybe once and then who knows if you were ever going to get to see it again.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, because it's like, when I watched Hercules, it was on Disney Channel, right? So I never really. That was the first and only time I watched it, and it really scared me to the point where, like, oh my god, I'm actually freaking out because it was so. Man, like having old ladies cut your lifeline, and Hercules going to hell himself to that scene where he goes down and like he turns old and all frail, like oh god, oh god, oh god. I can't. Sometimes I have a hard time watching it today, but I can get through it. But back then, man, dude, I had to shut it off.
Right?
Yeah.
Let me see. So one of my next ones is this is actually I saw this one probably long before I should have. So I'm sure a lot of people are gonna laugh at this one, and I don't care. So the first Halloween movie I saw out of the entire franchise was Halloween 6.
Okay.
We've talked about it before. The one that is just it's a mess.
Yeah.
The one that's got the two cuts, the theatrical and the producer's cut.
Yes. Yes.
So I was sleeping over at a friend's house and they had HBO.
Yeah.
And it came on, but everyone else was asleep and I couldn't for some reason. So I was just surfing HBO. I was just surfing the TV, and it said like Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. And I'd heard of Michael Myers and Halloween before, but I'd never seen any of them. So I was like, you know what? That kid, I think I was like 10 or 11 or something. I'm like, my parents aren't here to tell me I can't watch this, blah, 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 whatever. I'm just going to watch it, even though it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And remember, for someone who's like, like 18 or up, 2 in the morning ain't really nothing. But when you're like 10, 2 in the morning is like taboo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I watch it and it just it terrified me. Like you haven't gotten to that one yet, right?
I haven't done it.
Okay. There's a scene where he like brutally butchers this old lady who's just trying to escape from him. That scared the hell out of me. He impales this really fat guy and blows his head up. That freaked me out. I mean, now that's one of my favorite kills from the franchise. But at the time, I was like horrified. Like I'd only seen one other like movie like this before that, which we'll get to later. But it horrified me watching just people get brutally murdered and blood all over the place because I'd never watched it. And it was like I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Obviously, when my parents picked me up the next day, they're like, "Oh, what'd you do? You guys stayed up all night?" I'm like, "Yeah, we stayed up all night." It was difficult for me to sleep for a while.
I'm sure.
I mean, and you'll see when you eventually get to Halloween 6, because you started working your way through them.
Yeah.
When you get to it, you'll see what I'm talking about. But obviously, now that you're not a little kid like I was when I watched it, you're not going to be scared, but you'll see why some of those scenes would scare a kid.
Yeah, okay.
And like there's a part where he like goes on a killing spree in this one room and he just like slaughters like 10 doctors.
Nice.
And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, no wonder my parents didn't want me to watch this stuff.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense,
Oh, so what do you got next?
Okay. This one might be a little weird, and understandably, but this is true. I'm not BSing you when I say that there was a scene in the first Iron Man that traumatized me. Or not really traumatized, that really scared me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the first Iron Man, I was 7, right? Okay, so
Okay.
it was a scene where he got out of the cave and he flamethrowered everyone.
All those people.
Yeah, and he was really burning everyone. That was I've never heard of flamethrowers when I was 7, okay? I've heard of guns, grenade launchers. I've never heard of flamethrowers, right? I thought, honestly, Tony Stark was just gonna walk out and not fight because he's a metal suit, right? I didn't expect he was gonna shoot out flames from his hands.
And just roast them all.
Yeah! That was a point where my mom actually wanted to cover my eyes because he was burning everyone. I was scared, but I was like, no, I want to watch this.
Right. No, I'm watching the movie, Mom. What are you doing? Get away from me. Oh, that's awesome.
Because like my mom covered like my eyes in a lot of parts, like in at the beginning where the beginning where he was having sexual intercourse with that reporter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or when he was being tortured with the water, or when he was
Yup.
being operated on. Like my mom would cover my ass, but that scene where the flamethrower was like, no, I'm watching this.
And she tried to prevent it.
Yeah,
That's funny.
that was scary. That scene where, I mean, like I've never heard of flamethrowers at that time. I mean, of course now I do know, and I've seen way worse with regarding fire. But at that time when Iron Man was shooting out flames, I was like, oh my god, this is like really insane, to
Oh,
see.
definitely. So my next one is ironically at another sleepover. This one was when I was even younger than the one when I watched Halloween Part 6. I
Yeah.
was at another friend's house and he told us all, he's like, we're gonna watch this really cool movie when you guys come over. He's like, it's my dad's, but my parents don't know that I found it and I took it. We're all gonna watch it when we're in the basement.
Yeah.
I think I was like 7 or 8 or no, I was like 7 or 8, I think. Yeah, we watched Aliens.
Oh
Oh
god.
my God. That part where the chest burster burst out of that woman's chest when
Uh,
all the Marines were trying to get her down. Yep, I crawled into my sleeping bag and I didn't want to watch anymore.
oh my god.
Because then it was just like, and now I'm laying there, and I think a couple of the other guys didn't want to watch anymore either.
Uh,
But my friend who was throwing the party, him and a couple others were still watching it. So I'm laying in my sleeping bag, and all I'm hearing is the Marines screaming and the aliens yelling, and I'm like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here anymore.
oh my god.
It's terrifying. Because think about it, at that age, who would think to want to watch a movie where something rips its way out of your chest and kills you? It was bad.
Yeah, it was so bad. I'm sure.
I mean, obviously now
I'm
I
sure.
love Aliens, but it's like at the time I was like, I never want to watch this movie again. And then it's funny actually. I think that's another one where no, that's right. It was the same night. Because this was a friend whose house I slept over at all the time. I think I tried to fall asleep but couldn't. So eventually, after a while, when it got quiet again, then I kind of came out. I'm like, okay, like the monsters are probably gone or something. We got up to the scene where Ripley and Newt were sleeping in that room, and Burke let the face huggers out of their containers.
Right, right.
Yup, that's when I went to bed. Because I
Say,
was terrified. I asked my friend, like, what are those things? He's like, if they get on their faces, he's like, what happened to that lady earlier is gonna happen to them. And
yeah.
that's when I went to bed. I was like, I just want to go home. I don't want to watch this movie anymore.
I'm sure. I'm sure, dude. Because like, face huggers are like the
They're
stuff of like,
terrifying.
yeah, they're the stuff of nightmares, man. I mean, like,
They are. They really are.
I mean, like, I showed my younger brother, 2 years ago, Alien Covenant.
Okay. Wow. How do you react?
Man, he was freaked out. I mean, like, of course, Alien Covenant, from what I know from you, is not a good movie in the Alien franchise, but it is scary.
We'll go over that more another time.
Yeah.
It's good and bad. It's good in the sense it's a good horror film. It's bad because it doesn't make any damn sense in the timeline that's already
Okay, so
been
my brother has
established.
never seen an Alien film except for
Right. Yeah, that's why I remember when you told me it was one of the first ones you saw and you liked it. That's why I was like, yeah, it makes sense because you don't know the timeline that was already previously established. So
right,
yeah, I can understand why it being one of the first ones you saw, you'd really like it.
right. So yeah, so this is what happened, right? So I showed my brother Alien Covenant, and that
Hmm.
scene where the white alien bursts out of the back of that guy,
My gosh.
he was freaking out. Man. He's like,
I believe it. That scene was incredibly well done and gory.
yeah, exactly, right? I mean, like, that's how freaked out he was when he was watching Alien Covenant. Like, oh my god, like, I mean, what is going on? What is going on? Like, I was like, just wait and see, man. And he was like, and the alien was coming out like, Sandy, what the hell's going on? Like, oh my god, it's going on
She's
fast.
torturing your brother.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Oh, what else you got? Any more?
Okay, the last one I got is from The Mummy,
Okay. The
the
Brendan Fraser one?
Ben Fraser one. Have you seen it?
Okay. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That's a great film.
Okay. I hate bugs. So that scene where the scarab bug goes in the guy's flesh and eats
Oh,
his brain.
oh, and it's under his arm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
One.
I hate bugs too.
That's the one where I was like, you know what? Because this is the thing, right? It
Mm-hmm.
happened in school because okay, in my old school LaSalle Green Hills,
Mm-hmm.
we're not allowed to go to the cafeteria until we're grade 3.
Okay.
For grade 1 and grade 2, we're supposed to eat in the classroom. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher to entertain us brings us all these movies to watch.
Okay.
Just so happened that there was this one time where it was lunchtime, she brought The Mummy, and after
What?
why I don't know, okay, I don't know why, but she brought The Mummy, and that scene where where the scarab eats the brain,
Oh my
right,
gosh.
on his arm. I couldn't finish my food after that. It was like, you know what? I'm not eating this.
You're like, I'm done. That's it.
I
I'm
have lost my appetite,
finished.
you know?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. So my last one is jeez. So my last one was another one I watched way earlier than I should have.
Okay.
Same friend's house that I watched Aliens at, and I
Oh,
watched this one before it, and
okay.
this one traumatized me for quite a bit.
Okay.
I watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 6.
Holy Chad, dude. Why?
I didn't know. I watched it at his house, not mine. My parents never allowed stuff like that in our house. All I remember is I got to the point when Tina got killed, and I was too scared. I made him turn it off.
Oh,
Like, we got up to that scene where you see the slash marks slash her stomach open, and then she drops onto the bed, and there's just blood everywhere. That's when I made him turn it off. I'm like, turn it off, turn it off. I don't want to watch this. And it was, and yes, it did. It gave
understandable.
me nightmares for I don't remember how long.
Understandable. That makes sense because it's the Nightmare on Elm Street, you know?
Yup. I
One of
know it's almost ironic, but it's like because I remember I think it was at the time because it was like right after we'd moved. So he was kind of like my new friend, so I was still trying to, like kind of like impress him, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, "Oh yeah, my parents got Nightmare on Elm Street. You want to watch it?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, that's cool." Even I'm wearing my head. I'm like, I shouldn't watch this." But I was like, I'm braver than my parents say I am. I can watch this. Yeah, no. So needless to say, I didn't watch it from beginning to end until I was like, oh gosh, I didn't really get into like, I didn't hardcore start getting into horror again until I was probably like 17 or something like that.
No
So it's
way.
like I didn't see all the nightmares until I was like probably 20 or 21 or something. But yeah, that was like the earliest and like the first horror film I ever saw, and it messed me up for a little bit.
I'm sure, man, because dude, Nightmare on Elm Street is really scary.
I love it. I love it now. Now I love the first one so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of following up on what you said. Yeah, guys, what movies out there what ones do you remember that either like terrified you and scarred you as a kid, or like you said, traumatized you as a kid? What ones scare you now? Because I mean, there's even ones I watched recently that freak me out. I mean, I also live alone, so it's like I kind of have a reason to be freaked out when I hear a bump in the night.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, what is it? I think the one most recently that freaked me out because I didn't realize how much it was gonna freak me out was Sinister.
Oh
Because
yeah.
when I was younger, I don't know why I did this. I would still watch horror movies at night, freak myself out to the point where I couldn't sleep because I've lived alone for years. But then it's like I'd have to like drink to fall asleep. Eventually, I was just like, just watch horror movies in the morning or something, or don't watch the ones that freak you out at all. But no, Sinister like terrified me when I first saw it a couple years ago. Still does actually.
Yeah, agree.
So I think that wraps it up. What do you think?
Wraps it up. To anyone watching, ladies and gentlemen, what movie scared you when you were a kid? I'm sure you have at least one. I mean, like, it can be as common as the T-Rex scene from Jurassic Park, or as unique as Hercules. You know. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. So just tell us what you think about it.
Leave a
So
comment below.
yeah, let us know. So thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Perfect.
Oh man,